This is Friday night prime time, and this week, you, the iRacing community, have selected the iRacing Formula Renault 2.0 Championship to be your calling point for your action on a fantastic Friday evening. So that's what we're going to bring to you. We're going to have ourselves stacked racing here at one of the world's most historic racetracks, and it'll be next on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live.
Watch turning, go, go, go. Car right, car right, car right, car right. Watch him, watch him, watch him, jam it. Get ready. Dude, more heads up than that. Jeez.
Right on the back wing. Can he make it happen?
Yes! Yes! Push like hell. We gotta stay in front of these guys.
Both drivers on the push to pass. Contact in the pit lane.
All right, 60. Let that eagle fly. What do I do? What happened? Push here. Push hard. Let's go get this guy. Car outside. We're behind you. Control. Clear outside. Good job. Just spun behind you. I don't know if you got him or not.
He got out of it so hard. Look at these guys are all over the back.
Full throttle.
IndyCar. The in and out lap. What's next?
Come and get the checkers, big boy. Oh, baby, that was good. He hit me. Inside, inside, outside, inside, outside.
2017 Verizon IndyCar Series. See what's next.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Nürburgring for this Friday night prime time live from the Nürburgring, one of Europe's most historic racetracks. Now, back in the day, this place was known as the Green Hell. Niki Lauda, of course, had that horrific accident that put him almost to the brink of death, but of course he came back. The track has changed over the years, and these guys today are not running on the Green Hell layout. They are, however, running on the modern Grand Prix layout, and that is our scene here today. It's Wolverhampton along with Connery, Maddock, and well, Connery, it's windy out there. It's also pretty darn cool.
Yep, exactly. Very, very cold in the air. In fact, 65 Fahrenheit in the air. Partly cloudy while it's 94 Fahrenheit on the track. So relatively cold out there. Maybe your drivers will have some trouble getting some heat into those tires. But yes, we are at the Nürburgring for the Friday at prime time this week. Home to many, many German Grand Prix, many European Grand Prix. Also the likes of the 24 Hours of the Nürburgring and VLN, both of which used the Nordschleife, which are unfortunately not going to use today. But I think that layout would not be quite suited to these cars.
And the Luxembourg Grand Prix.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that it is listed as being host to a Luxembourg Grand Prix as well, which is very, very interesting.
Yep, the reason why the Schumachers had a very frosty Christmas dinner back in 1997. But there you can see then the details up on your screen. We've got about a minute left to qualifying. We've got one or two drivers on track as we speak. So we'll run yourself through the starting grid in a moment's time. But talk about the cool temperatures here, Connery, and that will mean that for some drivers, sector number one, that infield stadium section, the Mercedes-Benz Arena section, is going to be tough.
It's going to be very, very tough, Will, especially with these cold tyres on the start. Such a grip-dependent sector for the first part of the lap. I expect cars to be sliding around just a little bit as he gets into those tyres. And we could expect a couple of incidents coming down through there. But, well, these drivers are very, very skillful indeed. So hopefully that will not happen. But I can't wait to get this race started. We have about 30 seconds left in qualifying. So this field is pretty set for now.
Yep, indeed. So we've got a fantastic weekend's worth of racing happening for you this weekend as well. We've got ourselves a treble header on Sunday. The Classic IndyCar Series will head themselves over to New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Then we got ourselves an anything goes match here in Sunday Night Skippies. We don't know the track. No one knows the track. They'll find out on Sunday night itself. And then we round things off, of course, with the fantastic Indy Elite Series. They head themselves deep into the heart of Texas. That is a treble header for you this Sunday here only on RaceSpotTV. And here's your starting grid then for this evening's event. Martin van Loozenhoorn on pole position, 1 minute 52.142. Dan Brewer alongside him, front row of the grid. Angus Waddell, third place. Jukka Sovalainen in the fourth position. Then row number 3 is Christoph Fuchs and Henrik Andre, with row number 4 being Carl-Johan Hagelin and Guillermo Valenzuela there in that 8th position. We cycle on back, and what you see here, Connery, lots of people, lots of racing. That is the story for Friday Night Primetime.
Yeah, exactly. This field is very, very skillful indeed. You got the likes of Diego Hormilia in that mid-pack, as well as the likes of the number 13 of Oleg Foka as well. He can give us some fantastic action. Of course, Oleg Foka is one of these drivers that use virtual reality, either the Oculus Rift or the HTC Vive, and it's just such an immersive thing, VR in racing simulations like this. I've yet to try it myself, but I can only imagine.
And the drivers today will be running for 16 laps around this Nürburgring racetrack. 16 laps of the Grand Prix layout. Not the green hell monster of a racetrack, because otherwise, well, I'd probably need a bigger bottle of whiskey. That's all we'd say on that one. But the drivers are now lined up on your starting grid. For the most part, Martin van Loozenhoorn on the front row. There we can see him. We zoom in on him as he's getting ready to take the start in that number 3 car. Drivers are all now set and ready. That means it is time to go racing here. Friday Night Primetime is on the air, and we will start right about now. What a start there from third place, cutting right across there the front of P number 4 as they almost go into a collection mode as they come down in towards turn number 1. Now, this first sector, we talked about it already, it's going to be tough for these drivers. They're going to have to make sure they get themselves through these first couple of corners without real incident, and so far, they look to be doing so as they now head themselves through turn number 2 in towards turn number 3 for the first time. Then it's a little kickback into turn number 4. And, well, very clean start, I have to say that, Connery.
Yeah, very clean start indeed. Your top 5 drivers, all a single file, as Christoph Fuchs looks to defend from Hegline coming down into the left-hander here. But Valenzuela also having a look for an opportunity on the number 14 machine ahead of them, but has to fall in behind single file for now. Looking back through the field, there's just a whole gaggle of cars behind Hormilia at the moment.
They are. So we have a look then from on board. Christian Fuchs in the 6th position. Almost going to be 7th place then, as they work themselves through the bottom end of the racetrack, turn number 8. We just have a look and you see lots of drivers all jostling for position out front. Van Loozenhoorn has got himself a good getaway there. 1.1 seconds ahead of Dan Brewer already, but Brewer now under pressure from Angus Waddell.
Yep, he is, and Van Loozenhoorn just absolutely stretching his legs at the front of this field. Loozenhoorn is one of these drivers that we see time and time again dominating in the Formula Renault 2.0, and he looks to do the same here, pulling out that gap over 2nd place. Will Waddell have a look coming down into the final chicane here, though? Does he just stick behind? Nope, he just follows the driver ahead of him through this very, very tight chicane, tighter than the endurance chicane. This is more like the Formula 1 one. Is this a little bit of a tap behind, was that?
Yeah, that was the driver of Henrik Andre, who got a tag. He's got himself damaged to his front wing, and he falls down from P number 4 down into P number 6 as Jukka Sovalainen now up into 4th place, and Carl-Johan Hagelin also passed him as well. So that is a change at the top end of your field. Drivers completing lap number 1. Let's see, any big moves then down on lap number 2? Yes, we see Hagelin and Andre. Andre looking back down to the inside. He wants that position, and he will get it for the moment. No, actually, no. Christian Fuchs now up into P number 5, so he's moved himself up a position behind. In your steady arm section, it does look as though that these drivers are struggling still for grip on that second lap.
Yep, exactly. And actually, it was Christoph Fuchs' 2-for-1 move coming down the inside at turn number 1. Passes 2 cars in one corner. That is possible coming down into turn number 1 here, since the track is so wide and the corner apex is so tight. Christoph Fuchs moves himself up 2 positions in that one corner alone. Looking up further up through the field, though, Waddell is still trying to find a way through on Dan Brewer coming down into Dunlop. Pushes a little bit wide, though. Will get a better exit off the corner than Dan Brewer, but the Schumacher S's isn't really a place where you can pass on this racetrack. You're just going to have to wait until turn number 11 as Waddell follows behind the gearbox of Dan Brewer. Not going to get the opportunity coming down into turn 11, though.
Enric Andre is really struggling. You can see him now down in P number 10. The front wing damage to that car does look as though it's really hurting him. And these cars, of course, are so aerodynamically focused that you mess up once, you get yourself into an incident, and it can really hurt you. Of course, there you can see the damage to his race car on the bottom right hand side, that end plate there, as you see another driver going past him. That is Sergio Martinez, and Oli Quokka wants to stab at the action as well as they come down into the Vidal chicane.
You gotta give him credit. There's actually 2x2 coming through the chicane. There's a car off ahead of them in the gravel. That's Stefan Hermann, number 16 machine, having huge issues coming off the chicane, and yet more issues for the number 21 Thomas Ziegler as well, spinning before the Coca-Cola turn. The final corner here at the Nürburgring, tries to get the power down on the curb. The car wasn't having any of it, and he spun the wrong way around.
Yep, so there's a replay there, and coming up for you now of what happened to driver Stefan Hermann on board of him. Well, he lost it all by himself and actually blew his engine up as a consequence, I think, as well. And you got yourself, you know, more drivers involved in incidents afterwards, you can see. And that's the thing, you see one driver going off there, you can see Michael Parsons, and all of a sudden, it just upsets the memory of you as you head yourself down into one of the more complicated corners on track. There is Jukka Sovalainen right now. He has scored in the 4th position, but he is 3.5 seconds behind right now the driver of Angus Waddell. Waddell hasn't yet been able to do anything over that driver at Dan Brewer in second.
No, he hasn't. He's been searching for a gap that just hasn't appeared just yet. He was about 0.5 of a second faster that last time by than the number 4 driver of Dan Brewers. Again, Waddell's going to get a good run coming out at the top of the Michael Schumacher S's, but still not close enough to make a move coming down into turn number 11, and not close enough coming down to turn number 12 either. And you have to think that Waddell is the faster of these 2 drivers at the moment. He just can't find the gap to pass. Enric
Andre, he's still trying it out hard there versus the driver of Oli Quokka as they'll head themselves on the exit of the Michael Schumacher S's down into turn number 11. And that's where the real battle is going on, because everyone is trying to find a way past that driver of Andre. Now it's going to be David Waldock who's going to try and work himself around the outside into the S-curve as they come down into the S-curve right now, and coming out of it, well, Andre will hold on for the time being, but Waddell, a better run in towards turn number 1 as they come down. Lap number 4, 16 already here, and turn number 1 doesn't work really for Angus Waddell, but he was closer that time by than he had been on the 2 lap previous.
Yep, exactly. Angus Waddell just has to be a little bit patient here, and the gap will come for him down the inside of one of these corners on this track, maybe to get himself past Dan Brewer, and then maybe think about challenging Martin van Loosenau. But Loosenau is absolutely just stretching his legs at the front of the field right now. 2.1 seconds was the gap last time by to second place, and it doesn't look like that gap is going to be closing anytime soon. As we look back through the field, battle for P number 11 between Oli Quokka and Fabrizio Donzo, as Donzo looks to make the move, but decides against it, coming down into turn number 6 here, coming down into the Ford curve now. Still no opportunity for Donzo to make a pass and see if he gets a good run here. He gets a decent run coming down into Dunlop. Does he dive it down the inside here?
Answer to that is going to be, oh yes he will. Oh yes he will indeed there. You can see Quokka on the outside loses that position now to Fabrizio Donzo. Donzo up now into 11th place, Quokka down into 12th for the time being. So lots of moving and shaking, but this is going on more at the rear of your field. And Enric Andre, of course, is still trying to keep himself somehow in this event, but all he's doing is putting a train of drivers around him as David Waldock now trying to work himself on the outside as they come down into one Steiner curve right now. And it looks like Waldock will get the position, but now look behind Bacchetti and the driver of Hermann as well, because they will try and make the move. In fact, the driver of Barchetti is making a move on the outside into the NG key chicane, and he's ahead. No, he's not.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's going to be that's all actually side by side coming down into the final turn. Barchetti and Stefan Hermann. Hermann's going to have to hang it around the outside. He'll maybe get a better run off the corner, which he does. He can carry that momentum all the way down to the first turn. But will Barchetti give this one up easily? There's a driver behind of Aurelian Hamat as well, also going to get himself involved in this fight. Will we see 3 wide coming down into turn number 1? We won't. 2 wide it is going to be. Actually, 3 wide just as the apex there, and actually it's going to be Stefan Hermann coming out on top of that battle. They still take it 2 wide behind between Barchetti and Hermat. Hermat's going to have to force Barchetti out wide with a little bit of a wheel tap. Battle behind though. Ziegler and Valenzuela. Ziegler comes out on top of that one. Ziegler's looking for more though, coming down the inside of Barchetti, coming down into the Mercedes arena. It's going to have to be side by side between the 20 and 21. It's actually Ziegler. Horrible line coming down into turn number 4. They're still battling, Will. Valenzuela versus Barchetti now.
This is what I love about Friday Night Prime Time, because you know what? We know this battle's going out front, but the big battle is happening down in your mid-pack this evening. And these are drivers running in P number 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 positions right now. And they are scrapping at it like they are going for the race win. However, you have still got your driver up in 3rd place, Angus Waddell versus Dan Brewer. Gap 5 tenths of a second. Lost laps that these drivers have had. Well, Waddell is gaining, but he's made a net gain of, get this, 5/100ths of a second. Not enough.
No, definitely not going to be enough, as that gap that he so desperately needs to find in Dan Brewer's armor, that chink in the armor that he has to abuse to try and get past, it just isn't appearing. It actually is a terrible entry, terrible apex in the final corner there. That's going to lose him momentum all the way down towards turn number 1. And actually the gap to the lead has it's just gone back up to 2.3 seconds between Martin van Loozenhout and Dan Brewer. So that was kind of a little blip there, that Van Loozenhout, maybe a little bit of a mistake on the last lap that that Dan Brewer managed to capitalize on to close that gap, but Loozenhout's back in the groove, shall we say.
Yeah, well, part of the reason for that is Dan Brewer last time by was 3 tenths of a second slower than Van Loozenhout, because Van Loozenhout did a 152.9, 152.8, then a 152.5. Van Loozenhout is just starting to be like someone in Emirates business class, as you say, just stretching out those legs, stretching them out.
Yeah, that's exactly what he is doing. As actually having a look down the field, trouble with the number 19. This is Aurelian Hamat. Severe damage to that front wing. Was this contact coming down into turn number 1? It was between Eric Andre and like maybe a couple of other drivers. No, he just pushed wide there while battling with Eric Andre, and then collected a couple of drivers behind. In fact, that's a major incident coming out of turn number 1. Venezuela got the worst of it, and also there's a little bit of contact there with Barchetti's car as well.
Replays up for you then. Hamat overshoots the corner. Gets loose when he goes over that kind of green ashtray pavement. Hits another car as a consequence of that. And we've seen that so many times before Connery. You know, if it's painted, you don't run on it.
Yep, exactly. The tires are just not going to grip up at all on those painted lines. The car just swapped ends almost instantly as soon as he hit that painted part of the tarmac, and just unfortunate for the drivers behind. Not really much they could have done about that. Venezuela did leave enough room, a car's width on the outside of the track for Hamat to rejoin, if he was pointing in the right direction, of course. But yeah, that was just an unfortunate incident indeed. As actually battle for P number 10 now. This is between Sergio Martinez and Donzo heading up towards the chicane.
Yep, here they are on board with Sergio Martinez right now. Martinez even, as he battles out with the driver of Fabrizio Dononzo as they work themselves now on the exit of the Michael Schumacher S into One Steiner curve. Past there towards the start of finish line after they've gone through Avenbogen and GK chicane. Past Kokoda curve in towards turn number 1. And Martinez is going to lose that position now to Fabrizio Dononzo. But Dononzo himself isn't that far back actually, and the driver of Antoine Mann is not very fast through the final sector because he was caught there by Dononzo very quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Even though Donzo had to negotiate a pass there, as Antoine just spins it in the Mercedes arena there. Just the tires, the rear tires not getting any traction at all coming through the middle of the corner. And luckily enough, he didn't collect any drivers or hit that tire barrier on the inside there. But wow, that was a very, very interesting mistake there from the number 7. Put Donzo and, of course, Sergio Martinez up 1 spot there.
Replay then from Antoine Nunn as he just just loses it there. The slippy little paint lines causing their second victim of the day. He's now down into 12th place on track. So now it is a straight fight for P number 5 and 6. The driver Okan, Johan Hagelin and Christoph Fuchs. But here are your movers and shakers so far in your motor race, as you just see it down on the left-hand side of your screen. Hagelin up 2, Homada up 4, Antonio Mann was up 7 places earlier on, not anymore.
No, exactly, and it's going to have to be, well, Donzo is going to be up 11 places, which is an absolutely fantastic run from pretty much the back of the field there for that driver. Has actually swapped for position. Actually, at the front, it's going to be side by side for P number 2. Dan Brewer still trying to defend the position. Waddell's just going to have to fall behind for now, but Waddell trying to make the opportunity coming down into the final corner. He'll have another opportunity coming down into turn number 1. It's going to be inside line for the number 2 driver. Dan Brewer has to be forced around the outside, but the cutback can work at this corner as he does it. Dan Brewer now switched sides there and has to hang it around the outside again of the Mercedes arena. Fantastic side-by-side battling between these two drivers, and Dan Brewer defends the position. And if you're Angus Waddell, what do you have to do to get past this driver?
Brake later.
And not get oversteer out of the Mercedes arena, of course.
True story there. As you can see, that Dan Brewer still leads that battle, but you know, I always talk about sighter laps, especially in the things like the Skip Barber 2K World Cup. That was a sighter lap there for Angus Waddell, and I think that now he knows what his weak points are, he will capitalise on that in the next couple of laps, because Waddell, I think, wants that second position more than we are thinking.
Yep, exactly. We're coming up to around about halfway through the race right now. It's actually going to be halfway next time by for these guys. So that could possibly be the case. Just finding your bearings, finding where is the best place to attack. And that's what Angus Waddell is going to do right now. He has to catch back up just a couple of more tenths of a second to have another try at that pass. But he was oh so very close coming down through the final corner and down into turn number 1. Can he repeat it, and can he make it stick this time? That's the question we have to be asking.
Christoph Fuchs as well versus Carl Johan Hagelin. That's a battle going on for P number 5 on track. And well, I will say that Fuchs actually hasn't had a bad race here today. Up a few places, battling Hagelin for the top 5 position. And this driver does look very, very consistent.
Yeah, very, very consistent indeed. And he's just looking to have a little bit of a battle here with the car ahead of him. Christoph Fuchs, again, he's up these 11 positions on his qualifying. Actually, that's not entirely true, as my timing screen is lying to me right now. It's actually Donzo that's up 11 positions. And actually, it's going to be Angus Waddell and Dan Brewer again fighting coming down to turn number 1. And Dan Brewer still defending his position coming into the Mercedes arena. And Waddell, he's just trying to find a gap here, and he's not finding it. Fantastic defensive driving from Dan Brewer in the middle of the Mercedes arena as they're going to take the fight towards turn number 4 and 5.
Was that a phone call for you?
No, that was not.
That's okay, because Dan Brewer, Angus Waddell round the outside in towards turn number 6, and nope, not going to work there. Down the inside into 8. What a move there by the driver of Angus Waddell. He will move himself up a position through turn number 6 even. And well, now we've got 1, 2, 3 drivers all going to go 3 wide in towards 8. Waddell on the inside. You get yourself Brewer in the middle. Then you got yourself Van Loosenhoorn. Van Loosenhoorn's had an issue, and he's falling down into 3rd place. So Van Loosenhoorn now is battling for the race lead again. But Dan Brewer now leads this motor race.
And it looks like some of the spectators are as confused as we are. Where did Martin Van Loosenhoorn lose all this time? He's in 2nd place right now. We'll have to rewind the tapes to see what has happened here with Martin Van Loosenhoorn. Did he have a self-spin somewhere out there on circuit? It was actually well before they came across the start-finish line. Actually, yeah, it was out of the chicane there. Just oversteer, just snap oversteer coming off the apex there. Spins into the grass. No contact with the tire barrier, but that puts him into what is going to be a 2nd place right now, following very, very tightly to now Dan Brewer, your new race leader.
Yep, there's the spin then from Martin Van Loosenhoorn. 1, 2 people go past him. He caught up immediately, but now we got ourselves a race for your race lead, because you got yourself Dan Brewer, who leads at the end of this lap. But here again is Martin Van Loosenhoorn back up into 2nd place. Going to go round the outside, just like Clem Shady said. Can't make it work into 1, but there's a cutback there for Van Loosenhoorn. He will get himself a better run through turn number 2 in towards turn 3 they come then in this Mercedes-Benz arena. and Van Loozenhoorn has to stay behind for the moment, but I think it'll just be a case of wait until turn 6, wait until turn number 8, see what I can do. On board now with Van Loozenhoorn as behind, you got yourself David Waldock versus Anton Meyer. They are still going at it as well, but we need to focus on this battle for the race lead with 6 laps to go at the line. Martin Van Loozenhoorn versus the driver of Dan Brewer, and here comes Van Loozenhoorn around the outside in towards turn number 8.
Yeah, and they're still going to be side by side on the exit as well. But Martin Van Loozenhoorn is going to get a much better run off of the Dunlop curve. He's going to be leading coming into the Schumacher S's right now. But Dan Brewer, does he have anything to reply with coming up into turn number 11? He has the run. He's going to have to try around the outside. If he can hang it around the outside, he has the inside line for the next corner, and that's important to note. But no, he can't hang it around the outside. And now Angus Waddell again looking for the gap that he still can't find, coming down into the back straight here. There's the DRS, which is obviously not in effect for these cars, but it's going to be a very, very good run for Angus Waddell indeed. Maybe he can make a move coming down into chicane. He's looking to drive his left-hand side defense. He's going to be inside line for at least the first part of the chicane, but that advantage switches, of course, and actually it's going to be Angus Waddell finally getting P number 2.
You know what, Waddell, that's his first overtake that I've really seen him make in this motor race that counted for something, and Waddell, as a consequence now, can get the draft out of the Coca-Cola corner and start working himself down in towards turn number 1. 6 laps to go here. Live timing and scoring is available. Visit RaceSpot.tv/timing. You know, I always feel like an airline steward when I do that.
Yeah, exactly. But meanwhile, we have a race going on, and it's still going to be for P number 1. Waddell was very, very close coming down into turn number 1. Still not going to find the opportunity over Martin Van Loozenhoorn right now, and he's got to make sure that he doesn't let Loozenhoorn get away. He doesn't let Loozenhoorn just get back into his right headspace here, just getting out ahead like he did earlier on in this race. Waddell has to keep him within the striking distance if he has any chance of this race win.
He does. And these drivers now will head themselves on the exit of the turn number 6 and 7 complex down towards turn number 8, the Dunlop curve. Your top 3 drivers. And you know, we'll say one thing as well. Dan Brewer isn't really dropping off from these 3 at all. I think Brewer is playing the waiting game.
Yeah, I think he is as well. It's a very, very common strategy in racing. It's just to let the 2 guys ahead of you battle it out and then slip your car in somewhere to gain positions either over one or both of them. And that's probably exactly what Dan Brewer is doing right now. I don't think it's a severe lack of pace for him. He's just waiting and waiting. And it's going to be around about 5 laps to go here, Will. And Loozenhoorn still trying to manage the gap, but he's actually not pulling away here from the number 2.
He's not. He made the pass, but he wasn't able to really capitalize on that, and the gap is still 0.2 of a second, 1/4 of a second for those of you that want it a bit more accurate. But then Van Loozenhoorn on the exit of the corner, let's have a look, keeps momentum then through the NGK chicane in towards the Coca-Cola curve and then the start-finish line. But Van Loozenhoorn has not got it his own way here today at all.
No, he hasn't, and Waddell's going to get a very good run coming down to turn number 1. It's still not close enough, and I think that's one of the sectors that Loozenhoorn is very, very good at the final couple of corners. He's able to carry the momentum, as he said, all the way through the chicane and into the Coca-Cola curve, and Angus Waddell, you can just see visually that he dropped back during those couple of corners, and then he also, as an effect of that, wasn't able to get alongside coming down the pit straight, coming down into turn number 1. Loozenhoorn is trying to maximize the exit of that last turn to make sure that passing move doesn't happen.
Down through your field, though, we've got ourselves Sergio Montanez versus the number 10 machine. In the number 10 place, it's a Ty Dillinger moment right now. Perfect 10 for Diego Jimenez Pomelia as they scrap it out for P number 9 on track. Yeah, that's one car off, and that is Donoso there, who is falling down rapidly through your field, down to P number 11, has to spin that car back around. Replay coming up for you.
Yeah, man, it's trouble on the curb right there, and that's a very, very tricky curb. Not entirely sure why in these cars. It doesn't really cause an issue really in any other series I've seen. Usually they have trouble on the exit on the painted lines here, but Donzo just having trouble controlling that car, and well, he was up in lots of places for today. He started in 20th, was up into 7th, and now he has to do some of that work all over again.
Donzo, he didn't even lose it on the curb. I think he just lost it for the center of the corner there. 1, 2, 3 drivers go past him, and now he's down into P number 11, D'Annunzio. That is not the race he would have wanted to have had here today. Still in P number 11. Actually, he's classified as 5.9 seconds back from P number 10. Now he's got to worry about the drivers behind him because he might have overused those tyres, basically getting himself back on track there.
Yeah, exactly. It could be some of the same symptoms that Martin van Loosedorp may be experiencing with his spin as well. It's actually battling further down the field. This is Antu Mun versus Stefan Hermann, and Hermann's going to get himself past just before the chicane right there. So put Stefan Hermann up one position. He has two other cars ahead of him that he could challenge coming towards the end of this race. That's David Waldach and Fabrizio Donzo who's at that little spin that we've just seen here. But looking back at the front of your field, it's still this trio at the front of the field.
It is. Apologies. There you are. That's what you want to see there. Stefan Hermann in towards turn number 1. Look at the late lunge there. You can just see on that camera by the driver of Anton Mun. But Mun cannot do anything really. He goes down deep in towards turn number 1. But then after that here, Connery doesn't really do anything. Lap number 13 or 16 already.
Yeah, exactly. You really have to capitalize. You really have to go all in when you're doing a late braking move coming down into turn number 1, because even though you have the inside line, if you don't have the pass complete, you're instantly on the outside line for the next 2 corners, and that's not what you want to complete a pass. So you have to get it done very, very quickly coming down into that heavy braking zone. As a driver ahead as well, David Waldach may come under threat here by Stefan Hermann coming down into Dunlop. It's going to have to be defensive inside line for David Waldach, a little bit of a wider entry for Stefan Hermann, getting a good drive off the corner that he well kind of gets. He could challenge coming up into not the Schumacher S's, but coming up actually towards the front of the field. Actually, that was Dan Brewer and Anders Waddell, and they've swapped positions.
Yeah, so we're going to get ourselves a replay of that one then, but in a moment's time, because Hermann's still going at it. We go on board of the driver of Hermann for the moment, and he can't do anything through Warnsteiner curve right now. Now he's going to try and make the move down into the chicane. Turn number 14, turn number 15 of this racetrack. Hermann on the outside. On the inside, you got yourself the driver of David Waldach, and nothing can happen there. As we just have a look back then to show you the pass that happened. And again, Connery,
they're still battling. There's contact. They're off.
They are off. We will get yourselves a replay of that one for you now. If you just bear with us for 20 seconds here. Here you go. Exit of the chicane. They all kind of came together there in terms of straight line speed, and we can see the driver in 3rd place in that battle was just right there. Oh my word, on the straightaway there. Those two came together. Hermann, very lucky to still have a race car there, Connery.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, there was actually contact between. Actually, the contact I was talking about was for P number 2 between Dan Brewer and Angus Waddell coming down into the Mercedes arena. So P number 2 and P number 3 coming together, as well as other incidents going out on track as well. And it looks like Waddell's just lost the car in the middle of the corner, the entry to middle of the corner. And actually, Dan Brewer had to try and take avoiding action going around the outside there, but he gets front wing damage as a result. Yeah,
there we are. I'm looking from above at Dan Brewer. There, oh, trouble! And that was all Angus Waddell there, making an incident of his own. And as a consequence, he cost himself the chance of going for 2nd place here today. There's a replay from him. This is all the way back from the Ardrum corner down towards the NGK chicane. And you just see that Waddell actually just lost that position. I think he may have got a slowdown penalty, but then he tries to attack back again. And that's what really makes the issue here. Waddell had old tyres with dirt and gravel on them, running off the optimal line, trying to break down towards turn number 1.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what has happened there, and it's just as a result of taking both P. Well, actually, Dan Brewer is still in. Actually, they're still in the relatively the same positions as they were when they had made contact there. Except it's going to be Dan Brewer P number 2 at the moment, and then Angus Waddell P number 3. And now this, as a result, has meant the number 1 driver Jukka Salvalainen is actually now on to gain 2 positions and get himself onto the second step of the podium potentially with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, and we are already onto lap number 15 of 16, so we do want to take you back to the racing action. And there is a driver of Dan Brewer. He is currently scored down in second place again because Waddell Salvalainen there in a freeway battle for P number 2. We go on board right now with the driver of Dan Brewer. Let's see what the issue is as we go on board of him. Well, first issue is that driver alongside him can get a much better run there out of the one-sided curve. And that is the driver of Angus Waddell. Waddell now needs to hold on for the final lap of the motor race because of the fact that also...
Oh, further contact behind between Salvalainen and Brewer.
That's what I was trying to say. Salvalainen is actually... That's more contact than you should see in a motor race.
Yep, exactly, and it looks like a little bit of suspension damage am I seeing on Salvalainen's car there to the front wing, and the suspension there, I'm not quite sure. Let's see what his pace is on this final lap. He's going to have to challenge side by side down to turn number 1.
They do so. Salvalainen loses out for the first part. Will lose out for the second part as well. Is that lap traffic there involved as well? What a fantastic final lap here, Connery.
No, it's not lap traffic. It's Angus Waddell ahead of these two, Dan Brewer and Jukka Salvalainen. That Martin van Loozenhout will be on his final lap here. He's coming out of the Ford chicane right now, coming down towards the Dunlop chicane. There's going to be further battling behind between with Antu Munn and others side by side coming through turn number 1.
Yep, so they come through turn number 1 for the final time in this event. Then we can have a look there at the battles going on between them. You got yourself Man, and you got yourself the driver of the number 16 machine even, Stefan Herman right now. As they scrap it out on the final lap of this motor race behind them, we have David Wallback as well. He's off on the last lap of this motor race. Very quick replay on board with him. Let's see what, actually, no, we're not going to get time to do so, unfortunately. Because we're going to have to go back to Martin van Loozenhout. He has got the advantage, and Waddell actually, over third place driver, the number 1 machine, has got an advantage as well. But Van Loozenhout now heads himself through the NGK chicane for the final time and on towards the Coca-Cola curve. And he will claim victory here on the iRacing Formula Renault Prototype Challenge. And it's going to be the driver of Martin van Loozenhout again here, Connery. He's taking his claim in terms of open wheel racing.
Yeah, Martin van Loozenhout again, another race win in the Formula Renault 2.0. Is pretty much unstoppable. Angus Waddell will take the second step on the podium, and Jukka Salvalainen last lap pass over Dan Brewer means that he gets onto the final step of the podium. And that was a little bit of a hectic race coming towards the end there with all the incidents that we saw. As actually Martin van Loozenhout doing the donuts on the outside of turn number 1.
Yep, Carl Johan Hagelin there. Consolatory effort maybe for P number 5 here today. Would have wanted a little bit more. Here are your final race results then from the track of the Nürburgring. And there you can see Martin van Loozenhout wins by 10.5 seconds over Angus Waddell. Waddell involved in a battle late on with the driver of Jukka Salvalainen. Who wins that one? Well, it was Waddell by a little bit. Salvalainen in third place, Dan Brewer 4th, Carl Goen Hagelin in P number 5, and then Christoph Fuchs in P number 6, Mark Martin and Sergio Martinez, Diego Yaminez, Jorge LA in P number 9, and Ollie Quokka rounds out your top 10, Connery.
Yep, he will. And obviously, you've got the likes of Fabrizio Donzo having incidents later on in the race, which put him down a couple of positions, still getting to net 9 positions over his 20th in qualifying, but that could have been so much more. And we've also got 3 drivers that ended up finishing laps down as a result of incidents like Michael Parsons, Aurelian Hamat, and Guillermo Valenzuela as well. And, well, that was an absolutely fantastic race there. And I think things really spiced up when Martin van Loosenholt had that little bit of a spin that meant that he dropped back into P number 3. It made the fight at the front very, very interesting indeed.
Time for a commercial break. When we come back, it'll be post-race interviews. You're watching RaceSpotTV on iRacing Live.
Get ready, going green. Green, green, green.
The NASCAR Beginner Series, powered by iRacing, is the premier NASCAR eSports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The 2016 campaign saw a return to the top of the mountain by Ray Alfalla as a 3-time NASCAR World Champion. The march to that championship was not easy, though, despite the fact that Ray Alfalla took home the most points in series history. It just also happened to be the tightest championship fight we had ever seen. These guys are set for the 2017 campaign, and as it has been for the 7 years prior, it is no longer going to be a straight shot to the championship. We are going to see the biggest change in this championship picture in series history, as for the first time ever, there will be a chase for the championship. We're going to go into the Homestead of Miami Speedway at the end of the season with the 4 best oval sim racing drivers in the world absolutely tied in the championship. You just got to beat the other 3 guys out and you will become an official NASCAR champion. You're going to get yourself a NASCAR championship ring and, of course, $10,000. These are the iRacing eSport World Championships, the pinnacle of sim racing competition. You can catch it all season long, live coverage on iRacing.com/live.
Back here live at the Nürburgring, and well, overall today, Conway, been a good race, but no drivers want to talk to us.
Nope, and I know a couple of these drivers that have raced today do in fact have our TeamSpeak details, so if they're still listening to this, well, you have a very, very short amount of time to get yourself in the commentary box here. But yeah, it was an absolutely fantastic race, not all that much kart contact, a couple of self spins as well, but overall the racecraft was very, very good, especially at the front, apart from maybe that little situation at the end there where Waddell ran into the back of, shall we say.
Indeed, so that was all we've got time for here tonight. Don't forget, a treble header here on RaceSpotTV this coming Sunday, starting of course with the Classic IndyCar Series. They will be heading themselves over to New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and then it'll be Sunday Night Skippies. We don't know the track, no one knows the track, we'll find out on Sunday night, and then we finish it off with the teams and the drivers from the Indy Elite Series. They will go battle once again at Texas Motor Speedway. From Conor Ramatic, I am Will Vincent. We will talk to you all next time. Goodbye.
Well, that was a pretty decent race.